we have just done the poses to a walk cycle. So hopefully you have now done the other half of that. So we did the first 12 frames, and hopefully you did the last 12 frames, and you should have something that looks like this. So this is where we should be at this point. So let's quickly recap because it's pretty important. You're going to want to know the poses. So we've got our contact pose, and our next pose is our down pose. This is probably the two most important poses, contact down. These poses get reiterated throughout all basically bipedal animation movement. And what's important is this front leg. The foot is already on the ground here. The hip isn't there yet, and then we get a bend in that leg. So the straight to the bend and our hip comes down after this foot is on the ground. That's kind of key there, right? The foot's already on the ground, and then the waist comes down, and we see that weight taking place, which gives us a bent knee. That's straight to bend. Cool. Then we've got our passing pose. Then we've got our up pose, which what's important is typically a straight leg here, and our hips up like that, and then we go back to our contact. So one of the things that you ought to do at this point, if you went ahead and did the other 12, I guess 3 poses, is I would just quickly like check 0, 12. I might go, let's go to a side view right here real quick, and let's check 0, 12, 24. And what I'm looking is to see if the poses are pretty close. They don't have to be perfect, but generally let's get them pretty close. Then I'm going to check 3, and I'm going to select 15. 3 and 15 should be pretty close together as well. Cool. Now 6 and 18 should be basically the same as well. I'll go like this so that I don't have to guess. 6 and 18, it looks like those are pretty good. Now I'll check 9 and 21. And you can see that they're not perfect by any means, but they are close enough where it feels like both both steps are going to be even. Cool. So now that we've done this, the next step we are going to do is we're going to dive into the graph editor, and we're going to further our feet a little bit before we get into the hips. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to continue to work in the side view right here. And since this is a walk cycle in place, that means that our feet, when they're on the ground, need to move at the same rate. So let me, if you pull up your graph editor, let's go ahead and let's work on her right foot. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select her right foot right there. Let's make sure we select the foot. Great. And we're going to be paying attention to the z-axis, meaning her left and right axis only right now. So I select that, and then I'm going to go into the graph editor, and I'm going to select z. And this is the curve that we have that represents the left and right movement for this foot. So if we hit play, we can see this. Now, we can tell that from frame 0, so from frame 0 to frame 12, this foot is on the ground. After that is when the foot starts to lift up off the ground. So a good way to think about this is like on a treadmill. So imagine someone is on, like you're walking on a treadmill. Now, does the treadmill go at different rates? And typically you put it on one rate, and then it goes exactly like that. Meaning that, like, if the treadmill is going this way, and this, let's draw the treadmill. Here's the treadmill, and this tick represents where this part is. The next frame, this tick may be, let's say, right here, right? And then where's it going to be the next frame? The next frame, it will be right here, right? And then the next frame, it will be right here. It's going to be an equal spacing. What we don't want to see, we don't want to see stuff like this, where this frame, it's here, this frame it's here, and then this frame it's here. We don't want to see this, and this is typically what we're going to get by default. If you kind of look at the graph editor, remember, the more horizontal something is, the less it moves. The more vertical it is, the more it moves. So if we look at the graph editor, we can see that it barely moves left and right. Like if we track the heel right here and we go over, we can see that the heel moves just that little amount. But now if we go where it's more vertical, and we track that spacing, so now we're going to track the hill, we can see how much more it moves. See, it was moving like this much, and it was like See that difference? It was moving that much right here, and then it was moving this much right there. So we need to adjust that. Let's go ahead and we need it to be basically linear between 0 and 12. So what we're going to do with that in mind is that we need this to be a straight line from here to here. Since this is going to be a straight line, we don't need these keys right here. So the keys on this foot from 3, 5, and 8, we don't need those. You can go ahead, select those, and delete those. Now I want you to select this key, right click it, go to interpolation mode, and go to linear. You'll see that that now makes this a straight line. Now this is going to work like we want. Now if you look at the spacing of this first frame, you can see where it used to be, that heel used to be there, but now it's here. And so now it's going to have equal spacing the whole time it's on the ground. So now it's actually going to feel like it doesn't slip and slide on the floor. Cool. So now we've set that up nicely. Let's go ahead and I'm going to, one second, I'm gonna erase some of these things just for the sake of at least the ones near the foot, just so that they don't get in our way. There we go. Okay. Great. Let's go to let's select this back up. Great. So we've got this. Now let's work on the last 12 frames. The last 12 frames, if we look, we can see that it goes really fast right here. It slows down, and then it goes fast again. Typically what we want is when it takes off the ground, like if you actually pay attention to when your foot leaves the ground on a treadmill, it actually keeps going backward for a bit, even when it's off the air. Like it goes something like that. We actually want that. So the fact that this key is actually still going up is actually good. We may move this up just slightly like this, so that it feels like it's starting to flatten out, but it's still above that key. Now I can see that this one's moving really fast right here. So I'm going to slow this down, and I'm just going to go ahead and move this up like this. And now when we play this, we have a pretty nice curve. This is typically the curve that you want. Oops, I'm playing this backwards. Great. Now we've got to do one other thing. Now we need to loop this animation. So right now this animation starts and this curve is going up. So if you look at this to this, it's going up. But when this ends, this curve is going down. So if you imagine what would actually happen, like what actually is going to take place, is this is what it currently looks like. See how this frame it's going down and this frame it snaps up? We actually need to fix that. So we actually want this to to move this down a little bit like this. So we're gonna go like this, and we are now, let's go, we want to flatline that a little bit so that it feels like it will catch from there. And then I'm actually going to grab this one, and I'm actually going to move this a bit like this so that it starts to go up. Now if I were to select this, and I'm just hitting Control C and then Control V, and if I were to go something like this, I would do something like that. Now this is more of a cycled animation. So now when it goes from one frame to the next, it's actually cycling. We can see that we actually have a pretty fast movement right around here, which we'll get into in the next lecture. This might be a little bit fast, and we might end up moving this down a little bit. But generally, that is the first step to the foot. I'll see you in the next lecture.